Hi everybody, thanks for joining me. I thought I would make a start on my big rig group build entry. So I spent a bit of time today putting the engine together, but before we have a look at the progress, I thought I'd point out one or two things about the kit. It was a bit of a shock having built the three Tamiya Panzer IIs and then the Krupp Pruts, and also even the Zvezda Tiger, which flew together so well. Coming across this kit has been a bit more of a challenge. When I fitted the first two parts together and they didn't fit properly, that kind of put the sweats on a bit, but we've managed to sort one or two things out. I'll just get the instructions and we can have a look at some of the issues. Okay, so the instructions basically tell you to put the engine together first. I decided to build the Scammell first rather than the trailer because it wouldn't be much of a big rig group build if I didn't actually have the big rig and just had a trailer at the end of it. So I decided to go with the Scammell. In Charlie Mac's update on his big rig, one of his complaints was the parts being numbered kind of weirdly. So, you know, rather than part one fit into part two, he was having all kinds of issues, and I found this with this. I don't know whether it's this particular kit or this manufacturer. I don't know whether you can see too well, but if we have a look at this first part here, we've got sprue A, sprue B, sprue C and sprue D, just for those parts on that engine. And then we've got B47, A2, B7. It's ever so odd. So there was a lot of fortunately I put tape on the sprues so I could see immediately which ones they were, which is a really good tip that I picked up from you guys on YouTube. So that's the first thing. So the first two parts that I put together were these two, and what they have is like a tab either side that interlocks. So there's it's more on this side here, but there'd be a tab there and then there'd be a tab here, and this tab would fit over that tab, and that's how the two parts come together. Now for some reason the tab on the top at the rear here fitted fine. This rear section fitted flush, but at the bottom one of the tabs was making the bottom push out. The other thing was that this pan here didn't seem to sit properly. So before I'd done any gluing, I was having some real issues about putting this together, and in fact I think I had D2, A3, A2, and then I went down here to a part which is C28 in order to get just those two parts to fit properly. And what I did in the end was fitted D2 to A2, so we've got those two parts fitted there. I cut the tab off at the bottom of A2, then I fitted A3 to those two pieces. Then I fitted down here C28, which I'll show you in a bit. Then I fitted the pan, and that because C28 and D2 were on the end and fitted below A3, it meant that the pan would sit in the right location because it butts up to D2 and C28. So let me just show you what C28 is. So that's that part there, and as you can see it fits on this flush end of I don't know, the engine block I assume, but the pan butts up to it as well, so it gave me the correct position for the pan and the engine block. So I had C28 and D2, as I say, helping me put these three parts together. So that was that. This was a really nice fit. fitted really well. Now there is something about this kit that's driving me up the wall, and I'll just try and get you an example. Okay guys, can you see on this part you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They look like where the molten plastic has been poured into the mold. These are not required for building the kit. You have to, and so you have to remove them. So what was happening on some of the parts was you had to take these off, but then you have to clean them all right down to the part in order that some items fit flush. For instance, this part is going to be fitting to this part. Sorry, this part here, right? So you got to remove 10 of these things and make sure they're flush. And that was quite a ball ache with some parts of the engine. So here's the progress so far. I have to be honest, although it's been a bit of a headache putting this together, I'm really enjoying the build. Now, whether it's because it's a bit more of a challenge and you're having to think a bit, I don't know, but I am enjoying it so far. There are 16 parts on that engine so far, and obviously there's plenty more to go on there. But once you get there is some flash on some parts as well, which is a bit of a pain. But once you get all that sorted out, they don't fit too bad at all. Now there's one there's one bit here that I wanted to show you, and it's this thing here that you guys will be able to tell me what it is, but I don't know what it is. Let me just get the instructions again. Right, hopefully, so that's the part I'm talking to, about C25 and B38, and there's locating pin on the back of B38, and it goes in this hole. Now on my mould, that hole, well, it wasn't a hole, it was filled in. You could just about see a divot, and so the locating pin didn't go deep enough. So what you have to do is you have to basically drill that hole out, and then the B38 will fit in there nicely. But this was another example of fitting parts in order to get them in the right place. You see, B16 fits on there, but it doesn't really indicate how it fits on there. So what I had to do was I had to build C25, B38. They positively fit, because the end of these fits on there nicely, and obviously with that pin fitting in there, that locates that very well. So then I built C3, C4 and D4, and again, because this was in place, I was able to put this in the correct position, which meant then that B16 could be put on, because obviously it would have to go straight and into the back of C3 and C4, and that's what I did there. So if you look at the engine, you can see that they're all aligned. Now there is something going on, I can't quite work it out. This isn't perfectly aligned with this. I may just have to put some glue in there to make it look as if it is linked into it. It may be that this is too low down, or it needs twisting that way towards the block, so that it actually fit a bit better, but I'll live with that as it is, I think. But so I fitted these two parts first, because they were positively located, which allowed me to locate this one properly, which then allowed me to locate that one. But as I say, I really like the detail on this. I did mention previously whether this engine could be wired. I keep going out of shot, I do apologise guys. Whether this engine could be wired, because I've never done that before, and hopefully this this is something that I can have a go on this build. So that's basically it, guys. Not much to show, I know, but with all the cleaning and faffing around getting the parts to fit nicely, it took longer than I expected. But for the moment, at least, I am enjoying it, and looking forward to spending a bit more time on this. I've got at least another 10 or 15 parts to put on the engine, I think. So yeah, fun. Anyway, guys, thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you are all safe, and I'm really enjoying going through your videos. I may not be commenting on all of them, but I am watching them, and so thanks for that. And I'll catch up with you soon.